Oh, you know what? I'm a bit hungover today.
Are you?
That's bad, isn't it? I feel like I can't admit that during a pandemic that, you get drunk.
Why?
But it's been a rough one because, 10 p.m. curfews and all that.
Oh, fuck all that, man. Jesus Christ.
So it's been a bit of a rough one. I've got half of my Yuzu banana milkshake on the side here, getting me through.
I've got a beer, mate. So,
Oh,
although I've
really?
not had it before,
What one is it?
it's one of the new Tiny Rebel ones. It's an electric
Ooh.
boogaloo, it's called.
Ooh, that sounds fun.
Yeah, passion fruit. In fact,
Crack it open.
let's have a go. Eh?
What's she like?
That's really nice.
She a
Not
good
too
one.
fizzy. Yeah, I like that.
Passion fruit.
Yeah,
Passion fruit lager.
Yeah, like a passion fruit lager, sort of like an
Ooh.
IPA, I suppose. But
Yeah.
I got a strawberry jam jam donut one there as well.
Strawberry donut.
Mate,
Oh,
they're lovely.
sounds
They're lovely.
nice.
What's Well, we might as well get this started, shall we? We're already into it.
Oh, I know. Why not? Why not? Does my sound okay? I've got a mic plugged in.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah?
I can. Yeah,
Cool.
your camera's working, your mic's working. Tuck in, kids. We are episode 48, Catflap Chats. Thank you for coming on, Miss Jessica Davies. I was trying to go through. I was doing a bit of research, as you do, trying to go through everything that you've been and everything that you are at the moment. Former
Yes.
glamour model, bilingual presenter. You've had documentaries. You're feminist, modelling career, calendars, Miss Wales finalist, Cardiff TV, S4C, vlogger, blogger. Have I missed anything?
Anything else?
I don't know. You've been on lads mags and newspapers and all the other things that come with it. How are you doing? What would you describe yourself as?
You know what? People always ask me this, and I never know what to say because I do a bit of modelling now, but not a lot, and I do a bit of presenting, a bit of this. I think when you're a creative, you're kind of, you do dabble in a lot of different things, so it's difficult to actually say what you do. Sometimes I just say I use the word influencer just to annoy people because so many people hate it. So they're like, I'm like, oh, an influencer. And I always end up getting a gob full of them. So I quite enjoy using that. But I don't actually really do much, paid influency stuff. But yeah, so I don't know really. But I liked your intro though. That bigged me up for me.
So I try not to write too much down in terms of where I want the story to go because we can talk about everything and anything and it's quite open, but I wrote a load of notes and normally I follow people's careers, but with yourself, I ended up just writing singular or 2 words at a time about things that you seem to be passionate about. So I've got, career, body confidence, mental health, relationships, online bullying, in the street bullying, stereotypes. So there's literally like 2 pages of notes.
You've done your homework.
But they're all just words. So what's the last? I suppose we'll go back to sort of the beginning in a bit. But as a influencer, that's not an influencer, but a creative. What's your world like at the moment, and how's the last few months kind of influenced you? Shall we say?
Yeah, you know what? It's been weird because I was doing freelance work at a production company, so I was going into the office nearly every day and stuff, which is new for me because I usually just work alone at home.
Yeah.
Or go out to jobs. And I was quite enjoying it, a bit of routine. And then obviously that ended because of everything.
Yeah.
So I was had to get back into the whole thing of working from home and on your own. And I've been lucky, I've had little jobs here and there, but it's been a struggle, because it's like not a lot of channels are commissioning a lot far forward because they don't know what's going to happen, But I think being someone who creates content themselves, I mostly just do it on my phone, but it's actually been helpful because I'm sure you'll know it's actually the one kind of sector that we can produce and get it done at home. So that's been really helpful for me actually. So I've had quite a bit of stuff like for like filming myself at home kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
that's been cool. But yeah, it's definitely a weird time, isn't it? I'm like ready to get going out there now and stop filming myself on my phone.
I think it might get a bit darker before it gets lighter. So I think we got
I
to pull
know.
together and,
Yeah.
as a collective, just dig in a little deeper before it gets better. But you're right. Like, you know, I've got a full-time job, work for Capital FM, and then this is kind of like a hobby. But then I'll turn it into a business through lockdown, and
Mm.
actually, it's gone from strength to strength because it doesn't rely on shops or high streets or I don't know. Well,
Yeah.
it just needs people's ears, and
Yeah.
everyone's got them. So it's been interesting to say the least. What sort of stuff are you up to at the moment then? So for people that might not be familiar with
Mm.
what you're doing, and you know that you do a lot obviously on Instagram, and you're working for a few different sort of brands and companies. What have you been getting up to?
Yeah, so I've been getting up to a lot of stuff with Hanch, which is the Welsh channel S4C's online youth digital platform. So I've been
Yeah,
doing kind of like presenting for them. Lucky enough that, you know, I've been out and about, been able to do a bit of presenting stuff whilst we've kind of been locked down. So I'm still doing a series for them. I've got a documentary that I'm starting filming with them next week as well,
yeah,
which is exciting. Then I've been doing the stuff with kind of BBC Sesh, which
yeah,
is kind of filming myself and that. And from actually kind of from a video I did from that, I've got a BBC Three thing coming up soon, which will be really exciting. I'm really looking forward to getting going on that.
yeah,
So yeah, that's kind of the way I'm edging myself down at the moment, the more kind of presenting stuff. But I still, yeah, my Instagram, I kind of just decided, I say really the start of the year, that, you know, I've got all these followers on there that I've had for so long. And because my past career doing the modeling and stuff, I was kind of just posting pictures where I look nice or look sexy or whatever.
yeah,
And actually, like, I don't actually make hardly any money off my Instagram. I don't monetize it in terms of promote brands really. So it got to the point I was like, why am I even bothering like posting this kind of content that I don't follow myself? So that's when at
yeah,
the start of the year I kind of was like, right, I'm just going to totally like change my angle a bit and start creating stuff that I want to create and put out there. And if that means that I lose a bit of followers along the way, hopefully I'll find the right ones, you know, on the path. And again, like you say, you know, with the podcast, I think with lockdown, it's kind of given me the opportunity to, you know, really think of what I want to do and kind of, you know, rebrand my Instagram and post stuff like about mental health and body confidence. And
yeah,
people say to me when I post about like feminism and that on my following, because literally like 90% or something like that of my followers are guys, because obviously
yeah,
doing the lad mags, and
yeah,
people are like, oh, you're kind of barking at the wrong tree. And I'm like, actually, it's quite an interesting audience to post to, because
yeah,
the guys that follow me would never probably see, you know, follow accounts of that are targeted at women for like body positivity and stuff. Whereas now, because they follow me anyway, I actually get some really lovely messages of guys being like, oh, like, thanks so much for kind of opening my eyes and stuff like this, or, you know, oh, it's made me think of how I like my daughters use Instagram, or like how I speak to my wife and what I think of her. So actually, like, even though it's a totally random audience to kind of be preaching about, you know, body positivity and cellulite and feminism too, it's kind of sweet, I think, how it has made, you know, people that necessarily probably wouldn't follow that kind of stuff get involved in conversations. And that's what I like doing, really, just having conversations with people and different topics.
You do touch on topics in today's society which probably not enough people talk about, and if it's kind of brushed under the carpet a little bit, I suppose. And
Mm,
for every guy that gets it's going to help my relationship, or it's going to help my communication with my partner, my daughter, whatever. Do you still get the guys that are like, why aren't you posting you in a bikini, or ice
yeah,
cream,
yeah.
or fucking the other chauvinistic stuff, which I'm sure when I was fucking 17 and 18, probably even older, just as immature. But
Yeah, well, you say mature. I get like 50-year-old dudes saying that to me. I'm like, grow up. But no, I do. I get quite a lot like, oh, just, you know, shut up and just get your tits out. Oh, she used to post tit pictures. Now she just
yeah,
nags on about feminism. And I saw the other day, which is something you should never do, look at your Reddit forums. So I'd seen before that, I forgot about it. Then the other day I was trying to find like one of my old lad map pictures online. So I was like Googling
yeah.
myself trying to find it. Came across this Reddit forum, and then someone posted in there was like, she's gone really weird now and posts stuff about this and feminism and blah blah blah. And I was like, why are you weird men moaning in a forum about what I post on Instagram?
You, Instagram like is a weird one for me. Like I like to think I take social media for what it is. It gives me news, updates. Even today or yesterday, I posted something like, "There's so much negative." I follow rugby, so there's so much negativity around Welsh rugby, and they've just launched a new kit. Everyone's going wild, and I'm just like, "Why are you moaning about it? Just don't fucking buy the kit if you don't like it." Like, it's
I
that fucking
know.
simple.
I
But
know. I think that's it, isn't it?
there's so
Kind of
much
social.
negative.
Yeah.
There's so much negativity. Like, how do you deal with that, and how do you stay positive and ignore the negativity that I've seen bits of it that come through to your various
Mm.
channels?
It is difficult because it. I guess with social media, when you're you're the brand, it's like
Yeah,
they're commenting on you. So when people go,
yeah,
"Oh, don't take it personally," it's like, yeah, but they are commenting on me. They're commenting on how I look. They're commenting on my personality. So to say don't take it personally, it's like, how can you not? But I was on Instagram when I was 17, 18 when it first came out. Started modeling when I was 18, so I kind of grew up through my modeling career having quite a lot of followers from the start.
yeah,
So I've kind of had people say mean stuff all along since I've been on the platforms. So, you kind of try and ignore it, but it is difficult because, like, if someone's saying, the other day someone commented about being like, feminism must be high on calories, obviously saying they put weight on and stuff. And I was like, oh, you know what? Like, that's fine. You can have an opinion and I don't care. But like, you don't need to tell me your opinion. I think that's the thing with social media now. It's like, it's given everyone that platform to have an opinion, and it's like everyone had an opinion before, but no one would have come up to me in the street and gone, "You've put a bit of weight on, love." You know what I mean? Whereas you can say it behind my back, I don't care. But now it's like, you
yeah,
don't need to tell me it. And I think that's the thing with social media. It's like, just because people are allowed an opinion doesn't necessarily mean you have to use that platform to give it. You know what I mean? So
yeah, yeah.
yeah, it's difficult.
I think that you get so many accounts now, especially Twitter, where it's an England flag or it's no picture at all, and it's like Sam 1246, and they're just faceless.
Yeah.
It's not linked to any ID or anything like that at all, so they can just say what they want and get away with it. Do you find that it's mostly men, or do you get it from like a lot of females as well? And what sort of things, for someone who's listening to this now that might be, I don't know, late teens, early 20s, struggling with
Mm.
their confidence, or they've had some knockbacks, what sort of things are they saying to you that have got you down? And then how do you deal with that and process it and move forward with a smile on your face?
Yeah, I think when it's commenting on my looks, it has mostly been men. But when it's kind of commenting on me like a person, I do get it from women. It's kind of more on Facebook, really. On Instagram, women that follow me are quite lovely, and they'll message me and be like, "I love your like body pos posts and that."
Yeah.
But on Facebook, I remember I think it's like Wales Online. There was an article about uh, people catfishing, like using my pictures to catfish people, and then
Yeah, yeah.
um, yeah, it's crazy. And then from that, I think I mentioned about being trolled and stuff. And then
Yeah.
all in the comments, there's like loads of like middle-aged women just calling me a slag and being like, "Oh, what does she expect?" And I was like, that's actually really horrible. Like, you're old enough to be my mum. Like, why are you saying stuff like that? But usually, if you call them out, then it's like people forget that there's a person behind
Yeah.
it because they're so used to just seeing a screen. To them, they'll see that article, comment and saying something, and then keep scrolling, and they forgot about it. Whereas to me,
Yeah.
I'll read that and be like crying about it, be like, "That's really like upset me." So usually, when you call them out, they're like, "Oh, I didn't mean it like that," and I'm like, "Yeah, of course. Cool. What other way did you mean it?" But
Yeah.
that's the kind of stuff, really. So people do say, "Oh, just ignore them, don't call them out," but I like call them out. I like call them out most of the time because they do just look stupid.
Yeah. It's weird because they're the first people. If it was a guy, for example, he'd be the first one if he saw you in the street to be like, "Oh, do you want a drink? Love what you do or whatever. Can I get a picture?" And then like with girls, again, I've had a couple of Karens who've trolled me a bit. My mum's called Karen, so I shouldn't really say that. She'll fucking slap me.
Oh, hi,
She is a Karen as well. She doesn't mind
Karen.
complaining about something. Fucking hell. Love you, mum.
Love you,
Um,
ma'am.
yeah, she'll slap me now. Well, luckily she's in New Zealand, so I'm right. But when I next see her, I'll have a clip.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, bless her.
you get women like that then, and like for me, I think, would you ever say that if that was your daughter, or what sort of message are you putting out to your group of friends or whatever it might be that you might influence indirectly? But then is it just jealousy that they're not happy with their own lives and there's something going on in their world that they feel the need to lift themselves up by slagging someone else about, whether it's looks, what you're wearing, tacky, slag, the common misconceptions around glamour modeling and then modeling or whatever it is that you might have done in the past. And I feel like quite sorry for these people. Like it's not nice. It can't be nice for a world for them to live in.
It can't be, because I always think this when I see even something like the Kardashians. I don't really follow them. I unfollowed them all, and they, not my cup of tea. But they get. This is just an example. But, I see then people commenting horrible stuff or like tagging their mates and saying horrible stuff, and I'm like, that's just odd. Like, me and all my friends would never comment saying something mean under someone's Instagram, even if it's a celeb or anything. Like, it's strange. So I just think it takes a certain person to actually publicly leave a comment like that. Because if I was scrolling along and saw one of my friends be like, "Oh, you fat cow," I'd be like, just message her and be like, "What are you doing? That's weird. Why are you doing that?" So I think there must be something going on in their lives that they're pretty unhappy to publicly go out there. You don't know if work colleagues might see you leaving stuff like that. Like, it's just a bit odd. I actually randomly found this, talk about Reddit, but this other forum called Tattle Life recently. And it is awful. It's like basically the Daily Mail comments, but there's no articles. It's just a forum page, and there's just like all different threads about influencers, just like slagging them off, or like celebs, and going in on them really horrible. And I was like, right at the bottom it says there's 120,000 members on this site, and I was like, who are all you people that you're going out of your way to go on this chat room to slag Molly Mayoff for posting about her boiled chicken or something? It's like,
oh mate, that is horrific though. She put the ice
the
cream
Italy
up
thing.
Yeah, I was just like, come on,
she didn't
now.
help it. She did not help herself there, did she?
I find stuff like that funny, so I might
but that's more on like Twitter though. Do you know what I mean? Like a funny meme, whereas like to go on like a forum and then be like, "Oh my god, guys, did you see what so and so's doing? Oh, they look stupid." Like, and oh, what a state on her, and she's put loads of weight on, and screenshotting like this one girl screenshotted what she'd put up that she'd ate and been like, "No wonder she's fat." And I was just like, this is crazy. Why are you like at 7 p.m. posting this? Like, go see your mates, or like put your kid to bed.
Have you ever had any really bad stuff come through on social media, like where you've called someone out and they threatened something back, or some really hurtful stuff where you've gone, "Oh, I'm not okay with that. That's actually not just she's a slag, you're this, you're that, or whatever," but some proper horrible stuff?
I got in Twitter beef for Piers Morgan once. This was a few years ago.
He's so Marmite. Like,
oh, I know.
I like some of what he says, but then some of it, I can't fucking stand him.
I know. That's what I'm like. So when I find myself agreeing with something he said, I'm like, no, why?
Yeah,
but
I know.
This is years ago. I think it was just after Trump got in.
Yeah.
And he was posting loads of stuff, just like basically licking his ass and stuff.
Selfies of that.
Yeah,
Pictures with him.
And he did this one tweet. I think it was after the London Bridge terror attacks, and he did a tweet, somehow linked it to Trump and how London's going down a drain and slagging Khan off. So I just replied saying, can't you get your head out of Trump's ass for like a minute? Just respect, like that something really bad has gone on. Anyway, he quote tweeted me and was like, "You don't even live in London." Obviously looked at my page, I was from Wales. I was like, what's that got to do with it? Like, sorry, I'm not allowed an opinion on the Sky News headline breaking news article because I don't live in London. So all he said was like, "You don't even live in London, so shut up." I think that was it. But then because he quote tweeted me, and all his like followers went in on me, then they were like saying they're going to come and rape me, like behead me, like I should die and all this, and then were like screenshotting my pictures and tweeting each other saying like that they're going to rape me and kill me. And they were all kind of like you said before, the kind of ones that are no pictures. They're like little transformer avatars and like no names, so you're thinking, who are these people? Like so that was pretty heavy. And every time I blocked them, they were kind of like coming back with another account, like their burner accounts and stuff. So that was pretty heavy. How do you
What do you do in that situation? Do you contact, and obviously not 999, but do you fear for your safety when something like that happens?
Yeah,
Or
because
do you just
sometimes
kind of go on?
I do think that, like, even when it's not mean comments, sometimes I'll have people like guys message me continuously, and a few guys been like, oh, I figured out where you live and all this kind of stuff, or like, please reply to me, Jess, blah 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 blah, and like it's a stream of like messaging me, and I just think like it is quite scary because you don't know what these people are capable of, or if they are going to
Yeah,
turn up at your house. And it's like, that's why I actually, sort of a reason why I always do try and be polite to guys that message me. I'll either ignore them or, you know, be like, oh thanks, because if they'd be, you know, if I'm really rude, like, I do think, you know, I'm quite a vulnerable, you
yeah.
know, a young girl that's put herself out there online. I do kind of think, well, you know, I don't want to piss them off because you really don't know who it is behind the screen. But it is crazy, like you say, because it's like, who do you call? You can like report it on Twitter and stuff, but a few people, like I blocked someone, and then he just started up a new account on Instagram, and he's like, I don't know what you blocked me for, I'll just come back on another account. So you're kind of like, cool, you
The
know, like
fuck do
that's
these
weird.
people do? Like,
I
are they
know.
virgins or something? They just fucking get out and get a
It,
missus and get a
I
life. Like,
know, it's crazy, isn't it? And that, I think that's the thing with social media. It's really made me realize like how many fucking weird people are out there.
yeah. I think social media, walking through town any day of the week, walking through London any day of the week. And for anyone listening
Yeah.
to this, Jess lives in Castle Cork, so go and visit her up there, all right? Just to
That's where
keep
I am. That's where I am. Yeah.
Yeah, what, are you in the West Wing now, are you?
Yes, yes. You can see it looks lovely.
Don't want any weirdos turning up.
I
Let's
know.
let's go back to the beginning a bit then, just for people that might not be familiar with some of your work. They probably might not get the context, I suppose, of where we've just come
Yeah.
from in that conversation. So, grew up by Aberystwyth, moved down to the big smoke in Cardiff. Tell us the rest. What happened?
Yeah. So yeah, I moved down to Cardiff. Went to uni in, well, Glamorgan, but I lived in Cardiff.
Yeah,
When I was 18, and literally as soon as I moved down, I started applying to like modelling agencies in London, because
yeah,
from Aber it's like a 6-hour train. So I was like,
yeah,
yes, I'm finally within like 2 hours. So I started applying for agencies straight away, really. And I kept getting the same response of being like, oh, have you ever thought of trying glamour modelling? Because the obviousness of that, I had big boobs. So I was like, okay, like it wasn't something that I was like, I definitely want to do that, but it wasn't something I was like taken by surprise at either, because you know I don't
yeah.
look like a fashion model. So then I went and met an agent down in London, and I'd only been in Cardiff a couple of months probably when I went down to London, met the agent, signed with them, and kind of said right at the start, I'm not going to do like topless or anything, I'll just do like implied. And they were like, yeah, that's cool. And
What does
then
that mean?
so
Implied?
implied is kind of like covered, so you haven't got a
Okay.
bra on, but
Yeah.
it's implied topless, but you're like a hand bra,
Yeah.
you know.
Okay.
um so I was like, I'll only do that, because I was doing pageants as well at the time, and you're
Yeah.
not allowed to have any like topless pictures out there if you've done
Okay.
pageants.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm not going to do that, and I had a boyfriend at the time as well, so I was kind of, you know. And then so he was ready to go mad at just me being in my underwear, so I was like, right. And then I did a couple shoots, and then, well, my first shoot, I went down to London, and I was going to have a casting with Nuts magazine, so they're just going to meet me, like take my Polaroids, and that was that. So I was on the train down on my own, and then my agent called and was like, oh, they're not going to bother casting, like they're going to shoot you today. And I was like, what? Thinking I haven't got any tan on, like I haven't shaved. I was like, oh my god, not prepared for it. And it was like my first proper job. So she was like, yeah, they're gonna pick you up. So I got to Paddington, and they kind of like, someone was standing there with my name, and I was like, this is fancy, you know, I come from Aberystwyth now. I'm like, oh, a chauffeur. And really, it's
Yeah.
just a black cab. And you know, whisked me off to his house, turned up at this like random townhouse in London somewhere, knocked on like a garage door, very suspicious, and it opened up, and then like there's just like 4 topless girls there eating pizza. And I was like, what have I let myself into? Like, it was a totally different world that I was used to.
Is that heaven? I don't know.
I know, right? They were gorgeous. Now, but I was just like, I've just come from Aberystwyth like 2 months ago. How am
Yeah.
I in London surrounded by gorgeous topless girls eating pizza?
Yeah.
So yeah, so I was kind of really thrown into it. And then on that shoot, I was quite naive, you know, 18. I was like, it's all going great. And then they're going, blah, blah, right, can you take your bra off now? And I was like, oh no, I don't do that. and then it's kind of like silence, and a crew of 10 people are all kind of looking at me, and they're like, yeah, well, that it's for Nuts magazine, so you kind of have to do that. And I was like, oh no, but I told my agent I didn't do it. So I messaged her, and she was like, well, no, you have to do it now because you're there. And I was like, well, I'm not doing it. I kind of had said I didn't want to do it, and it's quite a difficult position to be in at 18 years old, and kind of take a stand and be like, I'm not doing it. But I had a pageant coming up in like 2 months, and those things were expensive, so I was like, I spent all this money on like my dresses and stuff, so I'm not doing it. So we did manage to come to compromise. So then I did the hand bra, and they were fine with that. But yeah, and then it kind of came out in the magazines, and the interview, it was like in huge writing, taking my clothes off is nothing new to me. And I was like, I didn't say that. And they'd asked me like, oh, so this is your first shoot, what's it like? And I'd said, oh, well, I do pageants, and there's like a swimwear round, so it's quite similar. And they just totally flipped it and changed what I said. And my partner at the time was like, what, like going mad at me, like, you sound like a slag. And I was like, well, I didn't even say that. But so I quickly learned that anything you say in them interviews is like going to be changed.
I guess he's dust now as well.
Yeah, he was just about a week after the magazine came out.
Couldn't handle it from all his mates, was it?
Yeah, that was it. It's quite horrible, really. You know what I mean? Like saying I was embarrassment and stuff. And I mean, look at me now. But yeah, so I was kind of thrown into it. And then after that, I did a couple more shoots, not topless. And then it got to the stage my agent was like, right, you've kind of done as much as you can do. And, unless you go topless. So promised a world of like 50 grand contracts and all this, and so I was like, yeah, I'll do it. And yeah, that didn't come about. I got a contract with Zoom magazine, but it was like, I can get you page 3 contracts, this and that, and then it was like, yeah, well, yeah, actually I can't, and just wanted you to get your nipples out to the world. So that's kind of how I went down that road.
Is it as like seedy, or as, I don't know what the right word is, and
yeah,
I don't know if it's just because we don't really know each other that well, where I can just cross boundaries and go,
oh, you can cross boundaries.
like, is it that seedy where it's just because you're just a product to them, and if you don't do it, there's another girl with a great rack who's just going to come in, smile, get her tits out, not a fucking problem.
Yeah.
What is it like?
I feel like the actual shoots, so were really like, that's what I loved about it, really. It was like, you'd go down, it's all very like with contracts, and everything's been signed, and it's all legit, and you go to locations, and it was all very professional. That's with the magazines, so like Nutzu, FHM and Front, and that.
FHM was unbelievable back in the day. Like,
I
remember
have all, like, Holly Willoughby and stuff doing it. You'd have a lot of people doing it, and so that wasn't seedy. I think like people look at the magazine and think because it's sexy, but that was very much like, well, like I'd imagine any photo shoot would be, or a film set kind of thing. It was just kind of like all the in-between stuff that was a bit weird. And I think once everything went online, that was kind of the downfall. So Twitter exploded, and it was kind of like they would do like Titty Tuesday and stuff like that, where they just like ask girls to send pictures of their boobs in. And girls would do it, random girls would do it because they want to be in the magazine. So then it started to roll into this thing of like, girls we're working with the magazines just for free, just to be in the magazine. So then when I'm going, right, I want $1,000 for a shoot, they're going, well, will you come to the shoot for 150 quid? And I'm like, no, I'm not coming to London and get my tits up for 150 quid. And I'm like, oh, well, like, let me know because someone else will do it. And it got very much like, towards the end, it did get very much like that. It was like, if you're not going to do it, someone else will. And that was the kind of one of the downfalls, really. But I was just going to say, on set, it was actually, not as seedy as I think a lot of people think.
I don't know anyone who's done it before, and I can imagine that lines would get crossed at some point, just because I know just in my life, when you go out and you see, and this is generalizing massively, but you see club owners or doormen, or the way they act with girls who are quite pretty, give them a little bit of attention. Like, I can imagine when it's behind closed doors in that environment. Have you ever had to turn stuff down and be like, actually, no, that's a step too far, I'm not comfortable with this, stop whatever it is that's going on right now? Like, are you safe in those environments, or has it ever got too far where you've gone, nah, that's bad? Like,
Yeah, I've been pretty lucky in terms of I haven't really had any like kind of bad situations, but I remember at the time I'd always think, so you'd have the legit shoots like that, and then you'd have time for print shoots, which is basically, you know, you'd shoot with a photographer to either update your portfolio, or you'd shoot with them for free, and then they would try and sell the pictures then to magazines.
okay.
So in that situation, sometimes it would literally be like me trotting along to like some random hotel room on my own to shoot with this man I've never met before, and there's going to be no one else there. And I always used to be like, I'm really surprised this isn't a lot more dangerous than it is. But then, you know, obviously since then, this is 8 years ago, the whole like Me Too movement and stuff has come out, and I imagine there is a lot of stories where things did go on, and I've kind of heard from people, and, you know, boundaries being crossed, and girls sleeping with photographers, and you know, the photographers touching the girls inappropriately. But for me, like, I've felt a bit like uncomfortable a few times, and been a bit like, you know, if they're just touching you here and there, I'll just moving you into position, I'm just like, I'm not really comfortable with you doing that. But in terms of anything bad, I've been quite kind of lucky in that situation.
You hear it, like, you obviously hear stories about Hollywood and films, and Weinstein, was it, and a few other people that have kind of come out. So I could imagine that, you know, everyone thinks of London like the big bright lights, but there's also this seedy underbelly as well that
definitely
it's right in front of your eyes, but you just don't see it.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it's interesting.
Yeah, because there's an article recently from Emily Ratajkowski, the model, and she kind of was telling her story about how she was sexually abused by a photographer on a shoot, which is a bit like she went around his house taking pictures. And, you know, I saw people online be like, oh, well, what did she expect, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, well, I know a lot, I've been in that position a lot myself, and I know a lot of other girls do. So, you know, when it's just you and them there, and a lot of the time stuff like that, there is alcohol involved, you know, they're giving you drinks and it's all a bit of fun, and you're like, actually,
it's
you know,
weird.
It is weird, like I'm a young girl there, you know, just basically nude or whatever in this position, and then, you know, it does feel a bit like sometimes the wires or like lines are a bit blurred, because it is sexy, like, so you're like playing this character, really, this kind of like sexy character that you're putting on in your mind, in a really intimate, you know, tiny hotel room with this man that might be a bit attractive, he might be disgusting, but, you know, so I can see how like lines can be blurred pretty easily. But I'm surprised there hasn't been more stuff like that, to be honest. But again, there probably is, just people haven't spoke out.
But I haven't spoken out, a bit of hush money or fucking whatever. I don't know. It's an interesting one. Like, I'm not, because like obviously now at the moment, OnlyFans is like obviously huge, and I want to get a girl on, or it could be a guy. I don't really care. From OnlyFans, I want to get their perspective on like that world, because it's obviously blown up out of nowhere. And, you know, have you ever had offers to go further again, whether it's, you know, the porn industry or that OnlyFans? And you've obviously got a limit of where you'll go to, which is, compared to that, you know, it's quite what's the word? Like sensible. Yeah.
I think for me, I've always been, you know, wouldn't go fully nude, and that was that kind of thing, because it wasn't like I think a lot of people, a lot of girls are fully confident, and they, you know, they do it because they're you know, exhibitionists, and they like showing their body, and that's amazing. But for me, it was kind of like, I did glamour modeling because it's the only way I could be a model, and that was the only option for me. So like when they'd be like, right, time to, you know, take your bra off, I'm not like, yay, you know, I'd be like, kind of roll my eyes and be like, oh, I've got to this part of the shoot, and just that was just a part of my job. So that's why, you know, with the OnlyFans, it's, you can earn ridiculous money on there, you know, and again, shoot stuff from your home, like it's minimal kind of expenses. So I have thought about it and thought, you know, people, I get DMs all the time on Instagram, guys asking me if I've got it. But for me, because the only part I enjoyed about modeling is actually going to the photo shoots and getting your hair and makeup done and having the photographer take pictures. For me, it was like, I just didn't want to, you know, take nude pictures of myself in my bedroom to send to guys. And which is perfectly fine, and I think what an easy way to make money, you know.
I've told my missus, like, she's a nurse. She'll be home like any second now, right? She's on a 12.5-hour shift. she's fit, she's in good nick, she's got a great bum off. I'm like, mate, go and earn $3,000 a month from the bedroom. Like, I don't
I
care.
know.
What's someone going to say to me? I've seen you miss his tits. Wicked. Fucking who
Yeah.
hasn't, pal? I don't care. You don't get to fucking touch him, I hope.
Exactly. So no, it's definitely like an amazing thing. And I also think it's so good that it's kind of put a person's erotic capital in their lap. Like it's them that are in control of exactly what they want to do.
Oh, yeah.
But there is a kind of thing with the OnlyFans is like, if I ever did it, which I'm not, but for example, mine would only ever be like topless or implied. So for someone to be like, well, why would I pay you 10 quid a month when, you know, so-and-so, you know, masturbates on camera for 4 quid a month? So I think there's, you know, I've spoken to a few girls that are on it, and there is actually, again, this kind of like underbelly of like competition, because people expect the most for, you know, a little amount of money. So that's difficult as well, I think. And the bigger it gets, it's just going to continue.
Yeah, and I suppose with that, I'd never been on it. Like, I don't know the ins and outs, but I've researched it a little bit, so I understand bits of it. And like, the girls get almost in a league, the top 1%, the top 3% of the world of creators. But that's just based on their earnings. It's not necessarily based on how pretty they are, or what a nice person they are, or whatever it is. It's literally based on just how many guys are paying them every month. Now, I assume that the girls that get the most either put out the most content, or they might be the fucking naughtiest on there. Like, I haven't got a clue. I don't know these people.
Yeah.
But I suppose it's different. It seems like a good way to make money, an easy way to make money. But again, that must get fucking tiring and boring really fucking quickly.
Definitely. And I think that's it. I think a lot of people see it as, you know, a quick fix and an easy way to make money. But, you know, you have to post every day, because if you're not posting every day, people are going to start complaining. And if
Value
people
for money,
complain,
like.
yeah, and then they complain, they're going to unsubscribe, you lose money. You have to, this is the thing with OnlyFans, which I wouldn't be able to do, is people are paying, you know, a lot of these girls, you can just Google them and see, you know, their boobs or even more. So it's like they're not paying really to see that. Like what they're paying for is that one-on-one connection, because on OnlyFans, it's like if someone messages you on Instagram, you're not obliged to reply. Whereas if someone's paying a subscription fee and messages you, you kind of have to reply to them, because if you don't, they're going to unsubscribe and you lose out money. So it's like this constant stream of like having to be available for your followers. So I think a lot of people, you know, think, oh, it's not hard work, but it must be draining for people to actually, you know, have to reply and have to pretend they're interested in what these people are saying. And a lot of things they're saying is sexual things, you know.
Yeah, it is tough. Like, with the podcast now, like I try and post every day where I can, a couple of times a day on Twitter, just relevant things, but an actual post every night. Like, after a full day of work, sometimes I'm like, I cannot be fucked to sit here for an hour now, create the assets. I do it because I've got sponsors now and I'm working, I'm getting paid exactly like you said. But it's gone from a hobby to a business. So my mindset's probably changed a little bit on it. Like, there must be only so many times a girl can do whatever she's doing with herself or with someone else in a day to please people before it's just not enjoyable in the fucking slightest.
Yeah, I would definitely agree that, and probably a lot of them don't enjoy it. But obviously I'm generalizing and I'm sure people do, but you know, it's just a lot of energy, you know, to put into guys online, the internet are going, oh yeah, I'd shag you and rate my dick, and it's like, just sat at home eating a Sunday roast with my mum, I don't want to rate your horrible dick. Like, you know what I mean?
Rate my dick, like, if
yeah,
fucking
that's a big thing on there.
Yeah, I've seen it. Like, I mean, I would never embarrass myself to get a rating back anyway. But
oh, I know, but it is crazy, and
what a world.
It's probably been a massive savior for a lot of people over the times that we're living in. You know, people have been lost their jobs, and then 75%. I think it was something like the OnlyFans revenue went up 75%. Like, they had that many new followers join and people joined to post and stuff. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people have gone down that route. But for me personally, the thing that not worries me about that, it's not my problem, but I think a lot of people join and think, oh, this is great, you know, like this is easy money. Whereas what I've very learned in the hard way is like a picture stays online forever. You know what I mean? Like nothing ever is not online. So when I started modeling 18, I didn't understand the internet. Like social media just kind of come out. Like it wasn't a huge thing. So, you know, I would think, oh, well, this picture will just sit on my members only website that, you know, only 100 people ever see. And it's like, yeah, that's not what happens, you know.
No.
And I didn't understand that. So I think a lot of people don't understand that. So I know girls, like a lot of my friends who do it that are like models, and you know it's their job. They pay a platform who basically every day they will go and like take down pictures that have been leaked from their OnlyFans and stuff. But obviously, yeah, so it will be like 200 to 300 quid a month, and they will kind of monitor the leaks for you. Obviously a lot more because you just don't want people getting free content, but I think people that sign up as just on a whim and be like, oh, it's just an extra bit of cash, won't understand that that's probably on Reddit or the fappening for life. You know, there's no getting rid of it. So if girls ask me for advice, I'm like, oh, you know, do it, but just know that nothing is, you know, sacred on there. Everything is going to be online.
You'll be the subject of many WhatsApp groups, probably.
Yes. And, you know, if you're happy with that, then that's fine. But I think a lot of people who aren't from that kind of world don't realize that, you know, a picture lasts forever.
It's fascinating. What world we live in, like.
I know.
I've written down 3 things just on that conversation we've had there. How has it affected your relationships with people in general, but more to the point, boyfriends? I read that your family have always been real supportive of you, and you've never had a bad word to say about anyone, sort of family wise, and that's brilliant because you're at the end of the day, you're working, you're earning money, you're paving your own career. So that's brilliant. I can imagine not every family would be like that. So, you know, kudos to yours. How has it affected relationships in the past and even now, life?
Yeah, I think my to be fair, my parents have always been really supportive. I'm sure it's not, you know, not something nice for my dad, but he's always been really supportive and kind of just kept out of it and been like, you know, happy to do my own thing. My little brother's at an age now, he's 14, and he says to me, oh my god, like all my friends follow you on Instagram, and like he's like, oh, it's so embarrassing, they all go on about how fit you are. And I'm like laughing. But I was home and visiting them a few weeks ago, and he was giving it the big one about it, and then he was on Xbox, he's like, do you talk to my friend? Go on then, talk to him, and like pimping me out on there.
He's the cool kid then, isn't he?
Yeah. So he wants me then. He's phoned me before from the school bus as well. I've been like, oh, Jess. I'm like, yeah, what do you want? And he's just to be like, oh, I told you it's my sister. So yeah, he's cute. But no, when it comes to relationships, I think like I've only had a couple relationships, and they've been a while ago. But I think a lot of guys that I'm kind of like dating stuff, especially at the height of my, you know, when I was doing the modeling, it was like, I think they like the idea of, you know, dating or going out with or shagging Jess the model. When actually it came down to it, it would be like, why are these guys commenting stuff on your Instagram? Why are you liking their pictures back? But it would be like, well, because they're my fans and I need to be kind to them. Or like, you know, oh, well, what are you wearing that for? And why are you dressing sexy? And, you know, why are you getting your boobs out? And I think like people like the idea of going out with a, you know, woman who's sexual into that. Whereas when it comes down to it, it would very much be like, you know, oh, you're just trying to impress other people. And I'm like, well, that's my job, you know, that's kind of what it was. So I think as well, the whole kind of, for me, the social media thing. So like I said, like 90% or whatever of my followers are men. So every reaction nearly, or, you know, conversation I have with someone online is a man. So whether that's someone being nice, someone complimenting me, someone sending me dick pics, someone being horrible to me, someone trolling me, is all men. So that's actually like, you know, I think like deep down somewhere it's made me be like, oh, I can't deal with them. And I think that's kind of made me back away a bit from the kind of dating scene, because I just think I've seen the worst of them, you know.
Is that, guys are simple creatures, right? They're generally more immature than girls. If you feed them, you look after them in the right way, and you can't not please them, do you know what I mean? do guys find it intimidating that there's a underneath the exterior of looks, your body, that there's a passionate, strong-willed, obviously fairly sensible and clever person in there, that actually intimidates them and their character, and they feel insignificant potentially compared to what they perceive you to be or that you actually are?
Yeah, I think definitely it does, because I'm very outspoken in terms of like my views, or like, you know, feminism and politics and stuff. And I do think sometimes when I put stuff out there, like I must be putting guys off, but that's what I am and that's what I like. Like my mum
Yeah.
actually says to me, because my mum keeps going on at me about getting a boyfriend, and on the phone the other day she's like, I think I must have posted something about feminism or guys, because she was like, don't you think you just go a bit too hard? Do you know what I mean? Like you're a bit of a man hater online, and don't you think you should tone it down a bit, because guys don't like that? And I was like, I don't care, mum, you know, if they don't like it. But I think it is, because a lot of the times you mentioned the word feminism, and you know, men will jump 10 feet back and go, oh God, you know, you're an angry feminist. And I'm like,
Yeah,
really?
yeah.
I just want to be, you know, not judged for, you know, shagging someone, and not have the same things. Oh, I want to wear what I want and not be judged, and do what I want and not be judged, and do a job. And, you know, all comes down to, I just want to be treated as equally as a guy. That's what
Yeah.
feminism is to me. It's not, you know, I know there's different, obviously there's radical feminists, there's all different, you know, things. And I can see how that, you know, gets people irked up and stuff. But the basis of it, it's like, we just want to be treated the same. And if a guy that I meet doesn't count himself as one of them, then off they trot.
Yeah, no. I want to come back to the feminism bit in a sec. Just on the guys themselves, you said that they like the idea of it. Is it because they think you're an easy shag?
Yeah, definitely. I think that people, again, especially I think at the height of my kind of like modeling days when I'm doing topless, people just assume, oh, you're a slag then. And it's
Yeah.
like, well, one, if I was, good for me, but two,
Yeah.
you know, I think
Yeah.
guys definitely assume that. Or it'd be like a, you know, like a little trophy, like, oh, I shagged that girl, you know, from the magazines
Yeah.
and stuff. So I think that, yeah, they like the idea of it, but actually when it comes down to it, it's like,
They're
oh
too
no.
insecure.
Yeah, they're too insecure to deal with it.
Yeah, I can understand that. Like I've seen it. I've probably done it myself, like in the past or whatever. I've definitely seen that. You said earlier as well that it was the only way for you to be a model. Now
Yeah.
I know a couple of girls who have done modelling, and one of my friends, Sophie, I don't know if you know her, Sophie Harries.
Yeah, it
She's
rings a bell, yeah.
she's done modelling, and she's small, but she gets overlooked sometimes for shoots because there are smaller girls. I'm like, you're fucking tiny, mate.
Yeah.
Like, is that why you couldn't be a model? Oh, fuck me.
Oh no!
Oh, fuck it. It did that. Joy, it
It
did
was
that
only
yesterday.
England, fuck it.
It was. My England shirt, mate.
It was the England one. Oh no,
Fucking
it
hell.
hasn't broken, has it?
Nah, it's all right. Luckily, it
Oh.
didn't fucking fall on my head.
Yeah, it's lucky.
Fucking frames. Bonkers. There we are. See? Good job this isn't live. I can
I
edit
know.
that. Lost my train of thought then. Yeah. Was that the only way then you could have been a model? Because I assume you wanting to get into modelling, glamour modelling obviously wasn't your destination of choice. You kind of ended up there from what you were saying.
Yeah, so I think literally from the age of like 10, 11, I used to tell everyone, I want to be a model, I want to be a model. And it was really cocky of me because I had like this horrible fringe and dodgy teeth, but you know. So obviously when you're 10, you're not like, I want to be a glamour model, you know, that's not something
No.
that you think of. I just
You
wanted
don't
to be a
even know what
model.
tits
Yeah,
are.
exactly. And I loved like America's Next Top Model, and I'd watch that religiously and stuff. But
Yeah.
I think obviously as I got older, I grew this body that is not what you'd see in normal modeling shoots, and I'm 5'6" just about, so I wasn't tall enough or skinny enough, and so all the agencies kind of pointed me towards glamour modeling. And I
Yeah.
think maybe, and I was, you know, I'm quite well, obviously I'm a confident person, so it wasn't something that I was like shock horrid about, but it wasn't something I was like jumping for joy at either. And I think maybe, you know, because that was nearly 10 years ago now, and now things have changed a bit and there's a lot more variety within the fashion industry and models and stuff. If I, you know, did it again and it was the time it is now, maybe I wouldn't have had to go down that route, because
Yeah.
brands would be a bit more open about using girls that are different, well, and guys that are different shapes and different sizes, whereas
Yeah.
at the time, big boob models do not, you know, shoot fashion companies. That's it. That's
Yeah.
like a law
It
kind
was
of in
just a
fashion.
smaller the waist, the better.
Yeah. Whereas now it's kind of a lot more open, which is great. So I think if it was, if I had my time again, I would. I mean, I wouldn't say I wouldn't do it because I've had amazing opportunities from it. But you know,
Yeah.
I would, if I could not go down and of getting my boobs out, I would not.
Yeah, no, I get that. I mean, look, just scrolling through Instagram, you've obviously traveled the world and been to some unbelievable places, which
Mm.
the majority of us will never ever get to go to because, you know, the cost, the expense. You used to go into a week in Tenerife all inclusive, or you can go to the Maldives or wherever you've been. So it's definitely
Yeah.
given you some great things in life, as well as dealing with some of the immature assholes
Yeah,
that are
definitely,
about as well.
definitely. And it's, you know, doing more of like my presenting stuff and that, I think it's made me confident on camera and all that kind of stuff. So it's helped.
Yeah,
And when I kind of look back, I'm like, oh, I wish I didn't. It's not I wish I didn't do it. It's never like because I hated it. It's just people's opinions. So if people didn't have a
yeah,
problem with it and judge me, then I wouldn't think that. It's just now, you know, trying to get into a different industry, you can't help but constantly think, oh God, but if they Google me, they're going to see this and what they're going to think of me. And it's like, you should be judged as you there and then, I think, and how good you are on the job, rather than, you know, that there's a tick pick online of you. So it's always like that's what makes me regret it, not the actual thing itself, but more people's
yeah, yeah.
opinions.
You proud of it?
Yeah, I'm definitely proud of it. I think when I look back and think what I actually achieved and what I did, you
Yeah,
know, it's pretty amazing. You know, I was a contracted at Zoo magazine. I did the front cover of Zoo, shot for FHM, like,
yeah,
you know, won the Hot Shots calendar kind of like search, and then a year later was on the front cover. Like, so I've done
yeah,
amazing things from it. And I think if I was that 10-year-old girl and someone said to me like, oh yeah, you're going to be paid, you know, thousands of pounds to be a model,
yeah.
like that would be my dream. And I'm like, that's amazing. So yeah, I think I'm definitely proud of it. It's just other people's opinions really that make you question
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Like, the opinions are like arseholes, mate. Everyone's got one, and they're all fucking smelly. So
it.
it's just the
And they all
way.
want to tell you now online
Yeah,
exactly what you think.
yeah. Twitter's giving everyone a voice. The fucking
Yeah.
stupid and assholes.
I know.
Let's come back to that feminism part there, because
Mm.
it's ignorantly, it's probably something I've never really looked into that much, but you've mentioned it a few times. You're obviously passionate about it. I completely understand the being treated equal, and you
Mm-hmm.
know that there's been huge strides in terms of you know, companies electing CEOs and board members and all the other stuff around getting females in the workplace. And I know I used to dabble a bit in construction, and there was a big drive about getting females in construction because it's not just a bloke's job and all that other stuff. Girls aren't treated the same still. You said earlier something about if a guy can go and shag fucking 10 birds, 20 birds,
Yeah.
he's a legend. But if a girl does it, she's a slag. And my opinion was probably like, I feel a bit uncomfortable, I suppose, talking in this conversation at times, because some of the things you've spoken about, I've been there as an immature guy growing up.
Yeah.
And now my opinions change, and actually, like, I've got a 7-year-old daughter, and if she wants to go and fucking do whatever she wants, you know, my missus wasn't, you know, a virgin when I got with her. She, you know, she's got a rap sheet. I had a rap sheet. Like, it's just the way the fucking world works now.
Yeah.
And
No, definitely. I think a lot of people though have opinions like that when you're younger, and it's just as long as people are, you know, willing to, you know, listen and learn and change their opinions, you know,
yeah,
that are negative ones, then that's it. But I think I've just always been quite passionate about women and having, you know, equal rights and being treated the same, because like my
yeah,
mum's a very kind of like outspoken woman, and her mum was a single mum and was very much like, we don't need men for anything. Like my parents are still together, so my dad probably like hates how like me and mum are like, no.
yeah,
But so I think I kind of was brought up around that kind of vibe anyway, and now my mum's the one who's going, I think you went a bit too far, you need to reel it back in a bit. And then at uni I kind of studied sociology and stuff, so you know, we look at that there. And I
yeah,
think probably because I went down the route of the kind of glamour model, and it almost not forced me, but I just kind of felt like I had to prove myself a bit more, and actually like that probably made me take on more of a stance and be like, actually, yeah, I can do this, but
yeah,
it's my choice to do that. And I think that's probably helped me go down the kind of route of speaking about it more and learning more about it, because I think it is something really important. And yeah, people do roll their eyes and go, oh God, she's just going on, but I think it's a, you know, it's an important subject, and down to that you can, you know, there's a lot of new things now in like you say, in the jobs and corporations and stuff, but it's for me it's kind of like social behaviors. So it's like,
Yeah.
you know, how we judge girls for what they wear still, or like, oh, they were asking for it, or were they giving it out, and
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff. And you know, like you said, sleeping with people. I always think of Love Island, and I just think this is why I could never, one of the many reasons I couldn't go on it, but when they do the little games, it's like, how many people have you slept with? And the girl's like, oh my god, 6. Oh god. And they're like, oh, that's quite a lot. And then the guys are like, 300. And then everyone's like, way, like laughing. And I just think, God, that if a girl went on there and said that, it would be hell. Like, so there's still like attitudes like that, which I think need changing.
Me and my missus had that conversation. I'm older than my missus, so my rap sheet's a bit bigger.
Yeah.
And I was just like, she said, and I was like, I don't really need to know. She was like, go on. And I was like, oh, I don't know if I want to say, like, I've had a good time when I've been single, you know? But then she had as well. And I was like, do you know what? As long as the line stops now and we're both here together, so who fucking cares? Like?
I know. Me and my friends were literally talking about it a few days ago, and we're like, you know, when guys ask, I was like, oh, are you meant to lie and this and that? Because there is still a massive judgment around it, and I just think it's so silly because, for me, I don't even want to know. I'm not bothered. It's like, what you did before you've met me is none of my business. It's like you say, as long as you're moving forward together, then that is what should matter.
As long as it's not one of your mates, and then you're right then.
Well, that's true, but even then I'd be like, oh, fuck it.
Class. You said something earlier about the asking for it, and again, I keep seeing things on Twitter mainly, which probably half of my frustration in life comes from Twitter, but I can't seem to leave it.
Yeah.
People are going, you know, girls shouldn't wear this, she shouldn't wear that, she was looking provocative, fucking all the usual bollocks. And I'm like, well, no, teach your child or bloke or man to just not fucking touch women. Like, don't. And again, I've probably fucking been there where, you know, that classic hand around the waist to get. I've probably fucking done it as a youngster, like, and it's almost a shaming now when I'm talking to you. I'm kind of like thinking of things, going, "Fucking hell, I was a dick back then." But
but I think, you know, attitudes have changed now, and people are, you know, speaking out about it. And back then, it was kind of, you know, something that just everyone did. You wouldn't have thought about it, whereas now.
Just because a girl wears something doesn't give you the right to go and fucking go and chat her up. And if she turns you down, so what? The thing I hate more than anything is when you see these screenshots and the guy's like, oh my god, you're amazing, would love to take you out, and the girl's like, no, for whatever reason. Don't like you, don't fancy you, seeing someone, not my type, or just, I'm okay, thank you, but no thanks. And they go, you're a fucking bitch, you're a slag, fucking. I'm like,
didn't fancy you anyway. It was just a joke.
30 seconds ago, you're about to drop your fingers in a till if you could, and now you just fucking kicked her in the bin. Like I don't. I know. And it's ego. That's ego.
What it is. That's what it is. Yeah, definitely. I think there's so much attitude around that, you know. And I would like definitely still today like cover up, because I think, oh gosh, no, if I wear that, they're going to think this, and people are going to say that, and people look at you or like shout comments at you in the street, and I'm just like, it's so like degrading to have that. And we should be able to wear what we want without being heckled in the street for it, or like groped in the club because I'm, you know, wearing a low cut top and that. And I like touched on that. I used to work in a pub in Aber, and I'd be waiting there, and it was like guys would ask me, and I'm the sober one. I'm, you know, the waitress, well, landlady, barmaid, landlady, barmaid, and you know, so I'm the sober one, and then these guys get drunker and drunker, and they're kind of like following you around your glass cup and saying, so, oh, let me take you out, can I have your number, and I'd be like, no, and it's kind of like you have to laugh, because if you don't know what they're going to be like, you know, these guys, and you know, so many times I'd say no, and then in the end I'd be like, oh, I've got a boyfriend. And then that is the only way it would get them to stop. It's like they respect this like made up man more than me standing in front of them and just saying no, sorry. And that's what I just think is crazy.
It's weird. Like I remember, I don't know where I was. I was in town years ago now in Cardiff, and I was like, I feel like girls now almost get on the defensive with that sometimes too quickly because, like you, they've experienced it for so long. And I remember there was a girl or something. We were chatting, group of them, and I said to this one girl, "You're unbelievable, like, basically single." And she was like, "Oh no, got a boyfriend," and I was like, "Fucking slow down, mate. Like, I'm not asking to marry you now." I was just like, "You seem like a cool girl. You fit like." I was probably gonna drop in what's your Instagram or whatever, but
Yeah, I
and
know. I
like
think
they were just straight on the defensive and like fuck off.
I know. I think that's a shame, really, that it is like that, because a lot of people now are like, oh, we can't even, like, you can't compliment you because you're like, oh, well, what are you saying that for? And I'm not
Yeah,
overly defensive about it, and I like, thanks. I'll chat to someone. I always chat to people on nights out, and I'm friendly and stuff. And I think it's a shame that it has come to that, because people have experienced such bad things. Online, like, oh, well, like, you don't need to hold the door open for me when I walk through, because and I think that's silly. Like, I'll
yeah,
hold the door open for a guy who's coming in behind me, kind
yeah,
of thing. So it is a shame that it went so bad that it kind of now is so extreme, of people being like, oh, you can't
yeah,
even look at a woman, you can't offer to buy her a drink, or you can't call her,
yeah.
say that she's looking nice, because you're kind of gonna follow her home that night.
But
So
like, I feel they're old-fashioned values. Some of those that my mum would be
mm,
disappointed if I didn't do it, and
yeah.
like, it's weird. I went on to one of my friends, a very attractive girl. It was her. Anyone who knows me and hears this story will know exactly what I'm on about. But basically, we went to Paris for her 30th.
Yeah,
Now, her parents, auntie and uncles all went. Her brother and his missus went. Then I went because me and her best mates. My missus went, and then about 6 to 8 other girls who are all unbelievable, right? And obviously, at the end of the night, all the older guys and girls have gone home, so it's just
yeah.
me and like 8 girls in these nightclubs in Paris, and people are like, "What the fuck are you doing on a hen do?" And I'm like, I just happen to be mates with like some of the girls' boyfriends were in Paris playing rugby.
Yeah.
So like there was a reason, do you know what I mean? But like blokes mainly couldn't comprehend the fact that I can be friends with a girl and not be trying to shag her
Yeah.
and not trying to fucking, oh, you're the gay best friend. I'm like, so what? Look at the fucking night I'm having, right? You're stuck at home with your missus and 2 kids who you fucking hate. Like, look at my life. Like, Monday to Friday, it's average. Like, it's the same as everyone else's. But for this
But on
weekend,
the weekend.
I'm a fucking baller. But I mean, I'm in VIP rooms in Paris and I'm living my best fucking life, let me tell you.
Yeah,
But
I know.
the attitude towards it is mad as well.
Yeah, definitely. There's definitely an attitude of like, yeah, like if a guy and a girl are friends, it's like, oh, well, you must be trying to shag her. All that, there's a reason for it. It's like, no, people can actually just get on without there being a
Yeah.
crazy sex. Or like, even online now, some people comment on Instagram, and something really nice, not even about the way I look, like, oh, I hope you have a great day today, Jess, or if it'll be like about like me posting about like filters or something, saying, oh yeah, I agree, like, love the work you're doing or something, and then people go, oh, she's not going to shag you, and
Oh,
then
mate,
and
on
I just
Twitter,
think,
fucking hell.
yeah, and it's like, oh, simp, this is a new word, and
Yeah,
oh,
yeah,
then
yeah.
she's not going to shag you, and I'm like, it's sad, because I tweeted about it, about the whole simp thing, and because a couple of my followers got like attacked for being nice, and
Yeah.
I was like, that's really not nice. And I spoke to a couple of them online, and I was like, how does it make you feel? And they said, it makes them not want to be nice. They're like,
Yeah.
So it's actually making guys not nice to girls, because it's like shaming men for being polite or kind to
I,
women.
I feel part of that comes back to, and this is going to generalize and probably piss off a few people, but like you meet a vegan, they're a
Yes.
vegan within 5 seconds of them being a vegan because they've told you they're a vegan. Now, I don't fucking walk around going, I'm not vegan. I just go around my life normally. Now, I can understand why people who might be LBGT are more forthcoming with their views on that because of the oppression beforehand. So I understand that. But I feel like feminism, there has been oppression. I completely get it. But I feel like at times, because of social media and Twitter, I'm trying not to get myself in a fucking hole here. But I feel like there's so many left wing or right wing, whichever way you want to look at it, they're so far on one side, it creates a bad name for that movement. And then
Definitely.
almost it brings, like, if you mentioned, like you said, you mentioned feminism, and someone goes, "Oh, for fuck's sake, like, what are you gonna do? Burn your bra? Fuck it!" Like,
Yeah.
and you're like, well, actually, being in the middle is probably quite a good place to be because you take the best bits from both sides and hopefully educate yourself a bit better. And the world probably is a bit of a nicer place in the middle. It's not so much love and hate, black and white, binary. It's actually, oh, I do actually understand your view on that. This is what I agree with, but this is why I think that bit might be wrong. And have educated conversations. And I think
Yeah,
social media's cut that out because you've got 140 characters or 240 characters to get your fucking point across. And so
yeah.
it's just, this is my way, you're fucking wrong. Feminists, vegans, LBGT, whatever, you're all fucking wrong. Like, I hate that about it.
Yeah, I know, definitely. And I think with social media, and I'm guilty of this, it's like, well, it literally does, isn't it? Like the algorithm stuff, like creates an echo chamber. So like,
Yeah.
I remember it with like Brexit and stuff, like the people, my friends, the people I
Fucking hell.
surround myself with, or like, you know, like we all have the same opinions, obviously. So like, you know,
Yeah.
you're like, oh, well, this is this. And then it's like, oh, that's not what everyone's thinking. And that goes along so many different things, you know. So like the people I follow or the people that I'm friends with online, we really have the same opinions. That's why you follow them and stuff. And I think I can be guilty as well of kind of not opening up conversation with other people, because I'm like lose my temper straight away, and I'm like, well, no, it's because of this. But you know, it actually, if we just had conversations. But then I'm like, yeah, but it's difficult when you are always in the right to have this conversation.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, I'll have a conversation, but I am right though, you know. That's
Yeah.
that's what you get when you're always in the right. But no, I think it would be good for people to have more open conversations, you know, because that's the only way the world's gonna develop and move on. But
on just last thing on feminism from me before I drop my foot in it with fucking something I will say, whether it's whatever subject.
no.
There's a big thing around football. I don't know if you followed Wales soccer, that much of Welsh football or anything.
Yes, I was a footballer back in my day.
Were you?
Captain of Penryn Coch girls, I'll have you know.
What position?
Left back.
Were you?
In the change rooms. Yeah, left back I was.
Any good?
Yeah, you know what? I was all right.
Obviously you're right. You're not going to say you were rubbish.
No, our, I mean, this is like my glory days, year 6, Welsh champions.
Fucking hell. Class, love that.
Then I got to about 14, and then you realise that there's boys watching, so I'd be like playing, and then as soon as like 17-year-old boys turn up, I'd be like flagging my manager, and I'm like, get me off, I can't possibly run in front of them, you know, and that's where my career ended, sadly.
Normally they end because a dodgy knee or so. I would have made it pro, but I had a bad knee, so I had to give it up. You know,
that was it.
I've probably told a few people that in my past, but there we go.
Yeah.
I was going to say, so there was a big thing around the Women's Football World Cup, and the USA won it, and the captain, I think her name is Rapinoe, she came out and said that women should be paid the same as men. And there's this big movement in America, and I know that some football, like Brazil and a few others now, pay the same to the women as they do the men. My argument, whilst I understand the feminist point of view, they should be treated the same. My argument to that would be, well, commercially, because I work in commercial, men's football brings in, for example, and this isn't figures, but brings in 100 quid here. And women's football, in comparison, might bring in 20 quid here. Might be 50, might be, I don't know, right? But so why should they get paid the same if the asset isn't worth the same? And that's my argument back to someone arguing on that feminist side of women footballers. And this is just one topic. Women footballers should be paid the same as men footballers. Yeah,
you know what? I've had this topic a few times, discussed it, because I'm actually have been like, I think I'm a bit of a bad feminist when it comes to this. Obviously, my football background, because I think similar. Like it's like it isn't the same game, and there's obviously amazing football ladies out there, but I've watched it, and it's like it is not the level of like Man United isn't the same when it's the females, and that's just generalizing, obviously, but it's a different kind of level, and like you say, the money and that they bring in and the sponsorships and stuff isn't the same. So I think to kind of be like, oh well, we should all be treated the same, I think when it comes down to stuff and it's like, you know, sports and it involves brand partnerships and money, it's like it's just not the same, you know. The same as like men's netball isn't the same as women's volleyball, you know.
But then also men's rugby isn't the same as men's football. They don't get paid the same because
exactly.
one brings in billions and one brings in millions. Like there is a difference.
I know, and it's similar with the football thing. You know, now it's kind of like they have to have a female pundit, and on one hand I'm like, that's great, you know, but then on the other it's like, well, you probably don't have as much caliber as an opinion as, you know, someone who's played at the top level of men's football. But then I guess on the other side it's like, is that because women's football hasn't been, you know, had the money pumped into it and they haven't been given the opportunities? And maybe in 20 years' time, it will be at that level, and you know, it will be equal caliber.
I'd say that's probably that change you're talking about is probably happening now. When you look at, you know, people like your Laura Woodsy and your Sky Sports News presenters have probably gone from, this is generalising, but probably gone from being very attractive and maybe not the biggest sports fans overall to having, over the last 10, 15 years or so, and especially now, attractive girls who are broadcasters and journalists first and foremost. And actually, I did an episode with Michelle Owen, who's a Sky Sports News presenter and does stuff for 5 Live and that. She knows football inside out. She knows far more than I did. You know, she played at a decent level. And I think that world is changing now. And girls, your Laura Woodsy and people like that, are calling people out, because she'll write something and a guy will go, "Oh, I loved your commentary on Man United." And then 80 people will go, "She's not going to shag you, mate." And actually, she knows more about football than them.
Than they do, yeah.
But because they sit in the pub with their Man United shirt on, swearing at the TV, "Fuck you."
Thinking that they know more. Yeah, definitely. I think with stuff like that, it's kind of like who is right for the role, and if it's a man or a woman or whatever gender, then you know your stuff, and then that's why you should get the job. But also then, you know, you have to give the opportunities to, you know, people who have been oppressed. So that is women, or, you know, ethnic minorities and stuff. Maybe when they're not even the best for the job, but at some point to make them equal, you've got to pump them up.
Yeah, that's when not. Potentially that's where you start to get maybe a quota. And again, this is probably a whole nother conversation. And you know, you look at apartheid in South Africa and how that went, and you start bringing in quota systems, then maybe the product isn't right. And you see, football's a weird one because you see it all the time. There's not enough black managers. Well, is it just because they're not the best person for the job, or I don't know. Like, but I don't know. It's an interesting one. Hopefully, we'll start to see some big changes and some better changes in that environment. I want to chat about. You've mentioned through the conversation there's been obviously quite a lot of like negatives that come with the unbelievable positives you've had.
Yeah.
So yes, you've traveled the world, you've made money, you've got a career that's progressing and flourishing and growing. How hard is it to build that career after the glamour modelling? So I can imagine you were stereotyped by lots of different people. I mean, being in Wales and speaking Welsh just probably plays to your advantage. But if you were elsewhere, no one would care about that. You know, in London, so what if you speak Welsh? We're not filming in Welsh, for example. But here, you can really build on that, and then it's giving you a platform to do bigger and better things again. How hard is it to build that career? And again, I'm fascinated by like your mental health side of things around staying positive, taking that step forward each time, despite the stereotypes or despite the derogatory comments and the negative connotations, I suppose, that come with lack of knowledge around what you've done before.
I think I've always been a positive person in terms of I've always wanted to just make something myself and you know, reach a certain level of success. So even though I'm like, don't know how I'm going to get there, but you know, I always kind of put myself out of my comfort zone and do something and just see where it goes. So I'm very much one of them people. It's probably why I can't define my job, because I'm like, yeah, I'll do that. If you pay me, I'll do whatever. So I think that helped, but it's definitely difficult. Like when I actually, you know, kind of finished in the lad mags, I was doing a shoot for an underwear brand in America, and then I actually started working for them. So that was kind of an easy transition. But then, so I was still kind of in my comfort blanket then. But when the company got sold to these two women who were American, and it was a massive, huge feminist thing, and that was their kind of pitch, was they're going to be all feministy. And then they kind of started accusing me of sleeping with the boss and stuff. And bear in mind, these women met me once, and they were lovely to my face. I just went for lunch with them. And then he started accusing me of like sleeping with the boss and him paying me and not other people. And I would submit work that I'd done, that kind of like pictures for branding and stuff. And then they'd like accuse me. They'd be like, you didn't write this. And accuse me of not being able to basically do my job just because my past job or like the way I look and stuff. So for me, I just think that's crazy. Like want to build your whole brand around feminism, and yet you've met me once over dinner and now you're saying all this stuff. So that was kind of like a knock for me. So then I left that company, and then that was about 2 years ago, and that's kind of when I had to start from scratch all over again in Wales and kind of figure out what I wanted to do. And I think that's my main thing, that kind of the cloud that hangs over me is people's judgment. So I do think, oh God, like every time I meet someone, I'll think like, oh, what they're going to think of my job, or what they're going to think if they look me up, or they're not going to hire me because that's what I did, or they're going to judge me. And I've actually, like you're saying about the Welsh language, been really lucky that, you know, it is such a small world, Wales place, that if you can speak Welsh and you're young, you know, and you've got a following, you know, that's kind of how I've kind of managed to worm my way in. And they've given me opportunities that I probably never would have got, you know, because of that. So with that, I've been really lucky, really, like, they haven't judged me for it. But that's been really nice. I think surely people shouldn't. I don't see why it's such a huge thing that it kind of judges your whole character on a picture of you. You know what I mean? It's crazy. So it has been, that's kind of like my most difficult part, that kind of just meeting people and just being like, oh my God, like, and that's probably, again, loops back to like relationships. I just think, how am I going to meet someone? And I'm like, oh, they'll like tell their parents like, oh, well, she used to do this. Do you know what I mean? And that kind of like cloud hangs over me quite a lot.
I find people like that would be fascinated. Like, I know if I'd brought a girl back who'd had a career like yours, my mum would have been like, fucking class. I get my tits out for free. Like, tell me about it. Like, my mum's a bit of a loose goose, but I feel like there's too many people who are just in the rat race and just living for the sake of living, and actually to have someone different or be a bit different is good. But then maybe that's, I don't know, maybe that's just my outlook. I don't know.
No, I think definitely, I think more people should have that outlook, because it is sad that, you know, we can try and push people into a corner of this is exactly who you are, when actually you can be, you know, like you've touched upon, maybe when you were younger you said this or that's, like, people can change, people can be different people, and like that can go from your views, your behaviors, or like your job, your careers. Like, people do change. And I think this is a whole thing kind of, which again, we're massive of a convo, but like cancel culture and stuff. I think, you know, you can, if someone's done something bad, you know, an old tweet or whatever, and it's like, you can call them out for it, but then by cancelling them, it's like, how are they ever going to learn? Like, how are you giving them room to learn from that? So, and it's similar. It's like, they might have said that 6 years ago. So it's wrong, and you can go, that was wrong, and they apologize. But if you're not letting them move forward with it, then it's like, how's that benefiting anyone? Because it's not changing anything. I think that kind of can go to people's normal everyday lives. Like, what you did, you know, 10 years ago doesn't have to hang around as a cloud, you know, for the rest of your life.
I'd shared, I can't remember what it was now, but I shared something from my Facebook memories, probably from about 2009 maybe. So I'm 34 at the moment, and whatever, what was that, 23 at the time, 22, 23 I was at the time, I mean a bit earlier, I can't remember. And someone basically in work, first job out of uni, someone had been on my Facebook and written a status. So me being older and obviously not as mature still, read it and was like, fucking bastards, like, but found it funny. But there were words in there, you know, it was something about the new girl at work, right? But I put it on it, screenshot it, put it on Instagram, like, wankers, fucking blah, 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 funny. Yeah. And I had a couple of people message me going, should take that down.
Oh, really?
And I was like, why? And they were like, oh, derogatory towards women and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I fully understand that, but that's not the point of the joke. The point of the joke is that I got fucking done with a frape, essentially. And like, I don't know, it's a bit where Ricky Gervais comes in and goes, you can joke about anything. It's your choice whether you get offended or not.
Yes, I listened recently I watched his Humanity on Netflix, and I listened to a podcast with him and Fern Cotton. And he was kind of touched on that, and I checked myself a bit, because I've been before gone to like comedy gigs, and like I'm like, oh, it's quite funny, but then I'm like, oh, that's awful, it shouldn't be joking about like women, I can't laugh at that. And I was like, but it's just a funny joke. And like, I think like, I was gonna say it's all down to, like he says, the target of the joke and like the intent behind it. Like if it's not intended to be malicious, it's just a joke. And I think that can be around a lot of things like now. And I think this is a bit with the feminism, that it gets all kind of like jumbled in, and this is why people don't take it serious, because it's like not everything has to be called out, and not everything is malicious and derogatory. It can just be a joke or a passing comment, and when you start policing absolutely everything, people are going to start ignoring the important parts about it, you know. And we do all just need to laugh a bit more, you know. Like me and my friend were watching Humanity the other day, and we were like bent over laughing. I was like, oh, it's bad, isn't it? But we were like, it's so funny, and that's it. That's all it's meant to be. It's not meant to like intend people to attack, you know, vegans or, you know, trans people or anything like that. It's like, it is literally a joke. And a lot of the time, which I find myself doing, it's like I'm offended on other people's behalf, you know what I mean? It's like, we can't say that about them, and most of the time they're like, I don't actually care, like, you know. And I think that's what we get a lot on Twitter and stuff. It's like people will go in on someone and be offended on someone's behalf without even knowing the joke or like the intent behind it and stuff. And that's when you can't, you know, that's when it all gets a bit mental online. But
I don't think he helps himself. I think it was something like, rape isn't funny, but jokes about rape are funny. And you're like,
he eggs it on, doesn't he? And it's like,
that's on the line. That is. Jimmy Carr's another one. Like,
yes,
I must be sadistic because they're the types of comedians I enjoy. I don't find lots of other ones really funny, but those two, they're my cup of tea.
I've literally been in this lockdown binged those Ricky stuff, and
we have as well.
Yeah, the perfect example is like, I knew about Derek ages ago, but I remember there being an uproar, but like, it's mean to disabled people, it's taken a piss. I never watched it. I was like, disgusting, like, I'm not going to watch it. So after Afterlife 2, I was like, you know what, I'll give it a go. And I'm crying and laughing, like crying because it's so touching and beautiful, but also laughing because it's so funny. And I was like, this is a perfect example of people cancelling it before ever watching it, because they're offended on behalf of something that doesn't need to be offended. It's actually like a beautiful tribute to you know, people with special needs.
I feel like we're the same person in different bodies, because we did.
I know.
I watched The Office when it came out, and I loved it. And I've never watched. This offends some people that I know. I've never watched Only Fools and Horses. I've never watched some of the British comedies from yesteryear, Blackadder stuff. I've never watched it. Doesn't interest me. Like I've never watched The American Office. Can't be bothered with that. But I'm cancelling that before I've even seen it. It's just never interested me. I don't know why, but I love The Office. And then over the last sort of 6 months, I said to my missus, let's watch Afterlife. It's supposed to be unbelievable. So we watched it, laughing and crying, like the little ginger, when he drops the ginger fucking, like, it's class, right?
Yeah.
But it tells a nice story as well, and with cancer and all the other stuff. And then we watched Derek, mate. I fucking loved it. And I
did not want it to end.
It's fucking superb. But people are offended by it. And I'm like, what? Like, get your head out of your ass a little bit and just take it for what it is. And I think this with social media, with life, with Instagram, whatever it is, take it for what it is and what you want it for. Don't take it to be offended by something just for the sake of it, to get your voice heard. Like, fuck off, no one cares. Like, honestly.
Yeah, definitely. And I think in the kind of world, the PC world we're living in, which it needs to be, you know, we need to be politically correct and not, you know, be isolating people and stuff for their genders and ethnicities and stuff. But it, like we're saying, people call out the tiniest things that it's just like actually not making any progress at all. And it's like, that's just a perfect example of that. It's like such a beautiful piece of work that people have just cancelled because they're like, well, it's been horrible to people with disabilities. Actually, it's not. It's like showing how beautiful and caring and normal people can be, and what normal relationships they can have. It's actually like which isn't usually represented in the media. So that's just a perfect example, I think, of like cancel culture before you've even watched it.
Little Britain was cancelled off Netflix, I think.
They took it off, didn't they? They took it off.
Like, it was one of those where it was fun.
I know when you watch it now, but I remember being a kid and watching it with my parents, like, you know, 8 years old, and we'd sit down and watch it on a Saturday night. Like, that's what it was back then, wasn't it?
But it's like, it's one of those things for me. I found it funny, and then it got a bit repetitive and that. But the concept, the idea was funny. And then nowadays, people are like, can't say that. Like, you can't do that with a guy in a wheel. Why not? Like,
Yeah.
what? Why not? The guy
Yeah.
with, is it? I can't remember which stand-up it is now with Ricky Gervais. It might be Humanity. Might be, sorry, I can't remember. And it's the guy in the wheelchair outside one of the, not House of Lords, but somewhere like that. And he puts the fez on him because he says he looks Egyptian or something. And the whole skit before the show starts is fucking hilarious. And then you
Yeah.
see people going racist, derogatory against disabled people. Like, no, it's a fucking joke, mate.
Yeah.
It's funny. If you don't like it, just don't watch it.
Exactly, that's it, isn't it? You can just turn the channel and that's that.
Yeah.
It's, I mean, it links, you know, recently the whole kind of Britain's Got Talent thing and the Black Lives Matter dance and stuff. And I think 20,000 people have gone out your way to, you're not offended by dance, basically, you're a racist. But, you know, it's like, if you don't like it, then just turn over. That's that. There's, you know, a million other channels to watch, but people like this is being upset and offended about something.
On the flip side of that, then you see the memes coming out like 100% there's 20,000 Tories that have just done that. And you're like, Tories then again, like, I'm not, like, fuck, I can't even be asked to get into politics. And
we'll be here all night. We'll be here all night.
You know, that Black Lives Matter, like, it's all important, but you've got to put it in context. But then the memes come back the other way. It's almost like the Rebel Alliance is fighting back, like, fuck Tories. Well, I don't know.
I love memes, honestly.
Yeah, I live for them. I absolutely
live
them. I must share 2 or 3 every day.
Yeah.
I put it up today, and it was a fat kid, and he was fat, but it was like, the meme was something like, when your mum told you to eat all your food when you were younger, so you'd be big and strong, and it's a fat kid naked, and I put it up and like laughing because that was me back in the day, and I've got a bit of a drum now. And again, like, people. Again,
that, you know, get people messaging about that. But again, these people are what? Offended on behalf of this kid?
Yeah. So they were like, "Oh, I feel sorry for that kid," and 3 people messaged me, and I went, "Mate, like, that was I'm saying that was me back in March when I put on loads of weight. Like, it's fun."
I know.
I almost don't want to offend them back then by saying, fucking grow up a bit, will you? Like, I understand the sentiment.
Yeah, exactly. I think a lot of people are in this kind of climate we're in, do feel like they have to say something when you see something like that. You know, they have to call stuff out because we're in a world where things are a bit crazy and that. But yeah, it does. It can just get snowballed and carried away if you call every little thing out that someone might be offended by. You know, we'd never have a conversation. Someone might be, I'm sure, be offended about something we spoke today. But
I've had people troll me, mate. Like, I'm a fucking nobody in the grand scheme of things. No followers, I'm fucking nobody, right? But people have been trolling.
You are somebody.
I couldn't give a shit though. Like, I'd done a load of stuff for budgie smugglers before, and bigger guy, got a drum, but I'll happily get the party going, and I'll be there till the end of the night. Do you know what I mean? And people are like, I would never do that. Like, why are you doing that? You haven't got a 6-pack. I'm like, what? Fucking 6-pack? Mate, watch me round Ocean Club with all these guys with 6-packs. I'll chuck the fuckers in the pool, then I'll fucking get it going. Like, who cares? Just worry about yourself. Worry about you. Enjoy your fucking life.
Amen.
I feel like that's quite a poignant place to leave things. If anyone takes anything from it, it should be that. Anything else you want to talk about? Yeah, look after yourself. Enjoy yourself. Enjoy your life.
I think we've covered loads, haven't we? But yeah, I think it's definitely, you know, we're living in very unprecedented times. Like, you just got to have a laugh, haven't you, and not take things too seriously, because if we took everything serious at the moment, we wouldn't fucking get out of bed.
Too many sensitive Sallys for my liking.
Too many Karens, don't tell your mum.
Too many Karens. Karen Rose, she's fucking one of them. Let me tell you. In restaurants, she's a Karen in a restaurant, mate, and in a shopping centre. The rest of the time, she doesn't give a shit.
But you know what? Sometimes in restaurants, you do have to be a bit Karen, because if your food's shit and you're paying for it, someone needs to say. But you know, you come over and go, "This is burnt." They're like, "How is it?" "Oh, lovely. I'm really enjoying it."
She's the boss of Karens in restaurants, mate. Like,
that's handy. You don't want to be the Karen, but it's good to have a Karen with you in the restaurant.
But you know, when you were young and you're like, "Mum, you're fucking embarrassing me." Like, Oh, it used to kill me. Now I don't care, like whatever.
Yeah.
Anything you want to talk about? Where can people find you, and what can people see you doing, and what have you got coming up? You mentioned a few things earlier.
Where can people find me? On my Instagram, which is _Jess Davies.
Yeah.
Twitter is @_Jessica Davies. I'm probably nagging and moaning on there about something. My website is jabberwithjess.com, so I kind of do a bit of blogging about lifestyle stuff.
We haven't even spoke about that yet.
I know, but I mean, I guess what I talk about on there is kind of what we spoke about.
Yeah.
So, you know, and then so I'm doing a few things for Hanch, which is exciting, and then got a BBC question coming out, which I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about much, but so I've got a few things. I'm just trying to keep it moving. You know, I think as you know, as a creative, you're kind of always looking for your next gig and kind of get something out there and into the next direction you want to go to. So who knows where people will find me next?
We'll keep an eye out. We'll
probably in like Starbucks behind the counter.
Yeah, so filming yourself for your fucking coffee only fans or something like.
Yeah.
Hey, look, big thanks for coming on. I appreciate it. It's been nice to chat and educate myself, I suppose, a little bit more, and probably get some things off my chest actually, where I know that I've been one of those guys back in the day at times, and I need to set a better example for my little girl and my missus and stuff. So I appreciate that as well.
Oh, well, it's been nice having me on and having a chat.
No, thank you. Big thanks to Tiny Rebel Brewery, because they give me beers for every episode. Like, does that make me an influencer now? I don't know.
You are an influencer.
Yeah, well, fucking state of the world if I'm an influencer. Fuck me. Big thanks.
I'm influenced. That sounds nice. I'm going to get a donut lager now.
I will get them to send you some Tiny Rebel Brewery stuff.
Yeah.
I've got 48 cans in the...
Oh, really?
I'll drop some up to Castle Cork, where you live, all right?
Where I live, yes, yes.
Big thanks to everyone who downloads, subscribes, rates, and reviews. Even the people who troll me, I enjoy it, so keep it fucking coming. Big thanks to Tiny Rebel. Big thanks to Jess Davies. I think that's everyone. I don't know. I think
that's it.
It's
a one-man show.
Well,
big thanks to you for entertaining us all.
Big thanks to you for enlightening. I can't even fucking say it. Enlightening us all.
Enlightening.
It's been an absolute pleasure. Hopefully, we'll do this again sometime. And best of luck for everything in the future, okay?
Thank you. You too.
Hey, no worries. You take care. Look after yourself.
Bye.
See you later.